I think there was a few reasons I decided to apply. I just finished my undergraduate degree at Northumbria, and I basically wanted to capitalize on the fact that that was kind of fresh in my mind, and I was used to the kind of education process. And so I kind of wanted to just kick on with something else. And a few of the other boys at Bath, Reese, Priestland, Will Chudley, and Henry Thomas had done it, and I'd spoke to those guys at length, and they suggested it. So yeah, it was just a no-brainer in the end, really, for me to do it. It also helps having a Nigerian mother who is very insisting on us being as educated as we can be. So she's pushed it as well. But also, again, having spoke to Reese and the guys, they said that the tutors are always very um, accommodating for areas where they need to don't understand fully and need extra attention and stuff like that. So, um, it's all very individual based, but I couldn't think, well, from the suggestions of Reese and those guys, it sounded like the university is very accommodating, like I said, and that obviously helps. Yeah, I think a lot. I think, even in my undergraduate degree, the way that I began to think about things in a different perspective, I think helped me in terms of more off the pitch than on the pitch in terms of, contract negotiations, also doing investments and stuff like that outside of rugby, having that kind of knowledge is definitely important. In terms of on the pitch stuff, I think, understanding from a leadership perspective, different individuals, how to deal with them, different leadership styles, stuff like that, I think is interesting. Sometimes, those type of things are very easy to read and not put into practice. So we're pretty lucky in that we've got an almost perfect petri dish to try that type of stuff. It's also difficult to implement some of it in the heat of the moment in the middle of a rugby match. So it's just getting that balance right, I guess. They have, yeah. They obviously said being organised is very important, not trying to leave everything to the last minute, which is sometimes easier said than done in the career we're in. But they also said to ask questions and just try and learn off the questions that you ask, but also the questions that other people ask, because there's like I was saying earlier, apparently there's a lot of people from different backgrounds and from different careers who are involved in learning from their experiences, as well as providing insight into yours, is I guess what makes the EMBA different to other degrees. So that was the main thing that they suggested. I think just learning about particular things, particular areas I'm very interested in and want to develop my knowledge on further. I'd say the finance sector is definitely an area where I don't understand a whole lot, and and I'm involved to an extent in some decision making in my life around finances and stuff like that, and I don't feel like I understand it fully and feel like it's an area I should understand. So that's what I'm excited about, is being able to develop my knowledge in that, and so that when I am placed in those situations, I don't feel completely out of my comfort zone and out of my depth. So um, that's what I'm most excited about. I think you can always learn from diverse groups. I think it's important to understand different perspectives, understand different experiences, and try and um, kind of implement their learnings from their experiences in your own. Um, I think that it's just important to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes, understand their difficulties, and then you never know if you face the same things, or even slightly different, how you can implement their learnings in your own. So I think that's the best thing about having a diverse group. I think it's pretty much impossible to sum that up in a few sentences. I think being a professional rugby player is full of ups and downs. Pretty much week on week, sometimes day on day, um, and the highs can be ridiculously high, and the lows can be pretty terrible. So, for me, resilience is about trying to manage those highs and lows as best as possible. So not getting too high and not getting too low, trying to be pretty consistent throughout. I've always thought that, it was actually one of my friends who said it to me first, the highs, if you get too high, the only way to come up from a high is to go down. And similar with lows, it's never as serious as it seems in that moment, or it's never as bad as it seems in that moment. So trying to be consistent throughout with your emotions, your thought processing, and all that is for me, I find that that's key to being resilient. Because then you understand what you're going through, you understand it's never too bad, and you also understand that it's also never that great. You need to get back on it and keep working if you want to sustain that. So I think that's the main thing that I've learned from being in the professional rugby environment for so long. I think starting a degree, to be honest with you. I don't know. There's a lot of I've trained my whole life to be a professional rugby player, so whilst it's not comfortable, it's something that I've done for so long that it comes a lot more natural and easier to me than sitting in a classroom with people that you don't really know that well, or definitely don't at the start. So yeah, I'd definitely say start a degree. The most important thing I've picked up actually is to lead in an authentic way. I think trying to be a traditional leader or a stereotypical um, like literature led leader takes away from the authenticity of you, and kind of takes away from actually what you're trying to achieve by being a leader, and that's to get people to follow you. People will see through that, and I think particularly in the rugby environment, acting anyhow that's different to your character as a person, takes away completely from what you're trying to do. And like I said, people will definitely see through it, and then you're doing the complete opposite of what you're meant to be doing. So that's what I would say is the biggest thing that I've picked up, is just be true to yourself and lead how you feel, both how you feel is best for you. So I've never been the loudest person wanting to do team talks and all that stuff. I understand sometimes I have to do that, but that's not what comes naturally to me. So I try and steer clear of it and lead in a way that I feel is more appropriate to me. I don't have any set in stone plans. There's a few areas of business and stuff that I could see myself going into. I'm quite interested in the agency side of things, business within that. Like I said, I wouldn't rule out something to do with the media and stuff like that. Um, but my father actually runs a petrochemicals company, and being involved in some degree with that would be awesome. So doing the EMBA would allow me to step into a role, hopefully, if he wants to hire me, with some level of knowledge, particularly like you said, with the diverse portfolio of people on the course. That and the international nature of his business, that would put me in pretty good stead. I think ambition to me means never being content with what you have. It's always moving on to the next thing, um, trying to achieve your goals, but understanding that your goals are always going to shift and move. Um, I think that's the best way I could sum up ambition. I left it quite late, to be fair, in terms of doing my undergraduate. I only started that when I was 24 or 5, and that was the biggest piece of advice I could give to any other young rugby players, is just to start as soon as you can, because you don't know when it's going to all end. There was every possibility that I couldn't have come back and played after I had torn my Achilles twice, and I would have been in a much more disadvantaged position then if I didn't have a degree than I would do now, or particularly after I finished the EMBA as well. So yeah, I just think that it's massively beneficial, and if you have got the time and you have got the the discipline to be able to get it done, then it's a no-brainer. I think consistency is the key to anything. You stay at something long enough, and you consistently go at something long enough, you're bound to break down and develop. And you're not always going to achieve your dreams, and that's just the harsh reality of it. But the journey of going towards it, and the learning that you pick up on the way, is half of the, more than half of the journey itself and the enjoyment. So that's what I would say: is be consistent, commit yourself fully to it, and that's it.